and that is the resistance grounding. And now the purpose of having the resistance grounding is to limit the magnitude of earth fault current. And we connect this resistance between the neutral point of a three-phase supply system to the earth. And thus, it can be a case for a three-winding transformer or generator having the neutral point being connected to the earth, to the ground point through a resistor. Now, this resistance value can be either high. Normally, we have the use of high resistance for low voltage system and a low value of resistance for high voltage systems of the capacity here. Now, this distinction between the low value and the high value is based on the magnitude of the ground fault current which we want to limit. And both high value and low value of resistance, ground resistance, it is designed to limit the transient over voltage up to 250% of the system voltage. Now, if the value of earthing resistance R that is very low, then in that case, earth fault current can be large, and the system will become very similar to the case of a solid grounding system. Now, for the case of low resistance grounding, if you want to operate in a safe manner, then the fault circuit has to be removed. And thus, this will restrict the service operation because if there is a line to ground fault occurrence, and then here we have a very high magnitude of the fault current, and thus this will result into service interruption or the service loss, and thus it could be a great concern for the operators or the operators in the continuous process section plants. And that's why it is written here, service loss will be a concern for the case of low resistance ground here. Now, next one, in the next slide, it could be possible that we may have a high value of earthing resistance. And in this case, the situation, the conditions will become very similar to ungrounded system. So that means if you have a very high resistance, that means high impedance between the neutral point and the earth point here. So this is more or less like a ungrounded system. That means the conditions will be very similar to ungrounded system. Now, in this case, as I said here, that high value of resistance normally apply for low voltage system. So if you have a high value of earthing resistance, then mainly for the low voltage system, the capacitive charging current can be of order 1 ampere or 2 ampere. And then with a high resistance grounding included in the system, then we can design it for a fault current up to 2 ampere or 3 or 5 ampere something. And thus in this case, because since the line to ground fault current will be of very low value, and thus it is not required to have the tripping of the system. So that means you can say immediate tripping of the ground fault is not required because the magnitude of the fault current is small in this case. Right, and then thus we can say that for the case of a high resistance grounding system, it is possible to operate continuously even if there had been the first line to ground fault. So it will not affect the service interruption. So thus we can say that the service continuity is improved for the case of high resistance grounding system here. But it is important that the first ground fault must be located, because as you find here that for the case of high resistance grounding, the situation is very similar to ungrounded system. So, and if you refer to the ungrounded system, and if you refer this phasor, so in this case, if you have the one of the phase being grounded, right, then there is a collapse of the fault phase voltage, right, to zero. So this is the fault phase voltage, and it collapsed to zero. But the system neutral voltage, will rise to, it will rise from ground potential, because in normal system this neutral voltage is the same as the ground potential. So if in case there is a line to ground fault for the phase B, then the system neutral voltage will rise from ground potential to the phase potential value here. So this can be referred to in the phasor diagram here. And as such, for the remaining healthy phases, this will become equivalent to line quantity, line voltage here. And thus, for the case of line to ground voltage of healthy phase will increase here. This is what is referred. That means for the healthy phases, the voltage that will appear across the terminals, it will become line quantity here. But in this situation, it will increase the probability for second ground fault. How it is? Because when we have the first line to ground fault, it is to be located or removed. Otherwise, it will result into line to line ground fault. Because in this case, because of the rise in the voltage across the healthy phases, there will be a stress on the insulation of the healthy phases. So thus the voltage stress on the insulation of the healthy phases is increased, and this may result into the insulation failure for the healthy phases. And thus it is possible that on the first line to ground fault occurrence, because of the insulation failure for the healthy phases, it is possible that the first line to ground event being converted into double LG fault event here, because of the insulation failure for one of the healthy phases. So that is the concern in this situation, in this case here. So thus it is important that this ground to ground fault current should be located and cleared, actually, removed, we can say. Then thus this reliable insulation system, not only for line to ground fault, but also for line to line quantity. Yeah. We move to the next slide. So resistance grounding generally requires good earth leakage protection sensitivity, and normally we use it for the case where we have charging current to be small, that is low voltage line mainly. The value of the resistance that we select, it should be in such a way that earth fault current is limited to the safe value. So as I said that we can have 2 ampere, 3 ampere or 5 ampere of allowable current flow for the case of line to ground fault current. But this value of currents should also be sufficient for the operation of earth fault protection scheme. So that is also because we want to detect the first line to ground fault occurrence here. So thus there should be sufficient magnitude of the fault current for the case of line to ground event, such that the earth fault protection scheme operates reliably. Normally, the value of resistance is selected in such a way that the earth fault current is about 2 times the normal full load current for the case of earth generator or the transformer, can be said here. Here in this slide, there are some points referred. What are the some advantages in the case of resistance grounding, and this includes sufficient to detect and locate the ground fault, This is one part. And then it will not result into a point of fault damage. Then it will again, in this case, there may not be any arcing ground fault, because if you refer case of ungrounded system, there, because of the discharge, charge and discharging of the capacitor, the phase capacitor, there is a arcing occurrence, and thus in the case of resistance grounding, this can be eliminated. And then again, in the case of resistance grounding, it is possible to limit the touch potential, and then again, it can be within the limits when we have to design the substation here. However, there are certain disadvantages as listed here. Now, in this case, again, depending upon, because if you refer to this phasor diagram, so depending upon because for the faulty phase, there is a rise in the voltage of the neutral here. Then depending upon the magnitude of the impedance and the fault current flow through the impedance, so that is the resistance grounding, this change in the voltage will vary. And thus it can be said that the system neutral is displaced. That means neutral point gets shifted from the ground potential here. So for the case of earth fault, the neutral potential gets shifted to some other value, right? And thus it is required that because if there is a shift in the potential of the neutral with respect to the ground. If I say this arrow is up to this point, or if I say this arrow is up to this point, so there is a shift in the voltage, the system neutral voltage with respect to the ground potential. And thus the voltage, the potential which will adjust across the healthy phase will be this one now. So thus there is a rise in the voltage of the healthy phases with respect to the phase voltage we are saying. And as in the phasor diagram shown here, this rise in the voltage could be as equivalent to the line quantity here. Then again, if you refer to this phasor diagram, what we find here that the resultant current which will flow here, it is actually 3 times the charging current here. And since we have the resistance grounding, so thus there would be a phase shift between the fault current with respect to the fault voltage of the phase here. And if I consider that this is the phase angle between the fault current flow and the fault voltage for the faulty phase, then in that case, this we can have the component of this current drawn, and this it is now I of sine phi. So this I of sine phi will cancel the charging that is the capacity fault current value here. So thus this amount of the fault current component, this fault current component cancels this capacitive current here, and thus it can limit the magnitude of this capacitive current here, right? And next, but the second point is that because depending upon the value of resistance that you want to add between the neutral point and the earth, thus the system can be costlier here. And again, since again, depending upon the, what is the value of resistance we have introduced, and then again the magnitude of the current that flows, because there would be a large amount of energy produced in the earthing resistance. It could be this energy, it could be in the form of a heat energy actually. So when we have the current flow through the earthing resistance, so it will generate a high amount of heat, actually heat energy, and thus this is a concern how to dissipate the that excess amount of energy because this amount of energy has to be dissipated into the earth soil. And thus it is important that we have to consider what should be the size of the earthing plate, or you can say what should be the area or the cross-sectional area of the resistive element that we use here. So that's is a concern that how we are able to dissipate the amount of heat energy to the earth soil or maybe even to the atmosphere. Here we have the next method, and it is the reactance grounding. And this is very similar to the case of a resistance grounding. So as the name says, as refers here, so that means we have the use of a reactor. So that means it's like a coil. So you have the use of a reactor connected in between the neutral point and the earth point here. And again, the purpose of the reactor is to limit the earthfall current here. But there are some difference, it can be said, with respect to the resistance grounding. It is possible that we are able to change the resistance, reactance of reactor here. So that means if you are able to change the reactance of the element, then we can limit the earthfall current. So that means we can design, so depending upon the magnitude of the or the expected magnitude of the earthfall current, we can change the reactance here. And thus it is possible that we can vary the reactance range, and thus it is possible that we can also achieve a condition situations very similar to the case of a solid grounding system. Uh, this method of grounding we normally apply for generator grounding, and but there is again a clear distinction whether when we have to clarify clarify whether it is a solid grounding or reactance grounding. It is actually based on the ratio of the reactance, and that is your zero sequence reactance to positive sequence reactance. So if the ratio of zero sequence to the positive sequence reactance is greater than 3, then we refer it as reactance grounding system. And if it is if the ratio is less than 3, then we call it as solid grounding system. Yeah. Now next here we have in fact we can be said that it is a modified version of the reactance grounding here, because here we when this statement refer that we can change the reactance here. So that means if we are able to change the reactance, or we can say that if you are able to tune the reactance here, right? So this is another modification of the reactance grounding actually. So it is referred as resonance grounding here. So as shown over here, we have the reactance of the source side or supply side, or it could be the generator or the transformer. And then there are phase capacitances here. And then we here in this case, we have the reactor introduced between the neutral point and the earth point here. But as shown, it is a variable quantity here. So we have a adjustable reactor connected between the neutral point and the ground point here. And in fact, this reactor that we use here, because we want to have an adjustable, so thus this reactor can have tappings, and so that we can change the inductance of the coil. So that means by adjusting the tappings of the coil, we can achieve a condition that is referred as resonant grounding. We will discuss about this resonant grounding later on. And this method of grounding, which is also sometimes referred as arc suppression coil. Why we refer this word, we discussed in the later in the phasor diagram. And this is also called as Peterson coil. So it's this suppression coil. It is actually a iron core coil connected between the neutral point and the earth point here. And as you can refer here in this, if you consider a phase fault on the phase B here, and then in that case with the reactor on this side, and then again the capacitance on the phase B side, so this will form a parallel LC circuit here, that is between the neutral point and the ground point here. So on the phase fault occurrence on the phase B as shown, there would be a parallel LC circuit formation, and thus this parallel resonance condition, in fact, it is the most important characteristic that we can achieve in the method of resonance grounding here. Moving further, so in the case of resonance grounding, what we have the tuned reactance grounding system, but this is very similar to the case of an ungrounded neutral system, because if we have resonance condition achieved, so that means in that resonance condition, the system behavior will be very similar to the case of ungrounded neutral system here, right? During the normal operation. And when the line to ground fault occurs, then the ground fault current will not have any path for the current to flow. I will discuss this part later on. So in this case, full line voltage will appear across the phase capacitance, and the voltage of healthy phase becomes the line voltage. So this is this I think, if you remember, for ungrounded system, because when we have resonance grounding, so the system becomes very similar to ungrounded. So for this case, voltage of the healthy phase becomes the line voltage. If we have to write the current for this circuit, then we can have it in this way. So we can write capacitive current for the phase R and for the phase Y. So we have under root 3 times IC. This is the same what we have it earlier in the earlier methods. Then the resultant capacitive current which should flow, that will be the under root 3 times IR, and this is 3 times the IC here. And we have introduced the inductance between the neutral and the earth, and thus the inductive fault current that would flow, it will be what is the voltage and the reactance, and thus Vp by omega L, yeah, where XL is the inductance of the reactor. So as referred in this phasor diagram, we said that the total the resultant capacitive current, it is now the phasor sum of the capacitive current flow in the phase R and Y, which are the healthy phases here, and this is the resultant capacitive current here. Now, then we have we have the inductive current flow, this one, and this inductive current flow through the reactor connected between the neutral point and the earth point, and as such the reactor is, we say, purely inductive in nature. Then this inductive current will be 90-degree phase shifted with the phase fault here, right? Phase fault quantity here. So now if we require the condition of resonance to be achieved, then this inductive current should be balanced against this one, capacitive current, resultant capacitive current. So this is what we have referred to. And then depending upon that, means the resonant condition to be determined, we can know what should be the value of L here. So this L we have written, and this omega, it is at frequency, system frequency 50 Hertz here. And then with the adjustment of reactor value, we can vary the magnitude of the fault current here. So thus the fault current magnitude can be reduced by the adjustment of this L value. So here, as it says, you can refer here that in this case, this current, inductive current, will completely cancel the resultant capacitive current here, and that's why here in this slide it is referred as arc suppression coil, right? Because it will suppress the completely the capacitive current here. But if you refer the case of resistive grounding, because this is the fault current, and it is this component of the fault current which is in phase opposition to the resultant capacitive current here. So that means there is still some magnitude of the current here. It will be this one here. So IF sine cos phi actually. So that magnitude of the current will still flow. But if you case for the case of resonant grounding, with resonant condition being achieved, then we can completely nullify, completely suppress the resultant capacitive current with the inductive current flow through the reactor here. And as such, with the first line to ground fault occurrence, this ground fault current will not have any path to flow here. So that means it will be more or less like an ungrounded system. So this current is completely cancelled. So for the first line to ground for occurrence, there will not be any path for the current to flow. So this is very similar to the case of an ungrounded system here. So here, what should be the value of reactance that should be selected? It should be such a way that the current to the reactor is small. That means you have a small line charging current, which will flow for the case of line to ground fault if the system were operated with the neutral ungrounded case here. So that could be the initial step in the selection of the reactor. That if we consider the neutral to be ungrounded, and if there is a line to ground fault, and then depending upon the charging current flow, so that should be the value of reactor here. That should be the value of the current flow reactor, and thus the value of reactor. Now, this reactance of the reactor balances the system ground capacitance here. So, if you refer to this phasor diagram, you can see that this magnitude of the current will balances the capacitive current, resultant capacitive current here, and thus the resultant ground fault current is practically zero, and that's why it is referred as resonance grounding case. And that's why this coil, this reactance, tuned reactance grounding, or we call it as the Peterson coil, also known as ground fault neutralizer or arc suppressing coil. Yeah. I have here on this slide some of the comparative statement which I could refer from this paper. It's from IEEE Industry Application Magazine. So students can refer here that if we have solidly grounding, low resistance, high resistance, and low reactance grounding, so what could be the situation for maximum ground fault current, and if we have what could be the range, and then what could be the system operating voltage, for which these different methods that we can have in application.